To Nick's history from New Zealand First.
It's a pleasure to rise on behalf of New Zealand First on this Employment Relations Employee Remunerations Disclosure Amendment Bill. And I do like Members' Day. It's a great day for members to bring forward pieces of legislation. I have noticed, though, the times I've got up to speak on Members' Day, it's always a bill being put forward by Camilla Bellich. It's a bit like you're running a parallel government over there, Camilla, some sort of guerrilla outfit, a legislative machine, Camilla Bellich.
Might be more efficient.
In terms of this bill, New Zealand First always takes the employment relations legislation very seriously, and we have supported your previous bill to Select Committee. So we have had a good look at this bill, and we do think the intentions are good. However, like the previous speaker in the ACT Party, it has not crossed our threshold for support. This time you do not need our support, so it's still going through to the Select Committee. I do congratulate you on that. I guess from our perspective, we're very much, like Pamjit Palmer articulated, pay should be merit-based. This is not about equity of outcome in terms of at an individual level. I know what you're trying to address here is breaching the gender pay gap. I'm not sure that this bill does it. It potentially might, and the Select Committee might tease some of that out. But for us, we could not see this as being a major plank in that platform in terms of our response to that as a parliament. We do think there could be some unintended consequences for this. As Katie Nimmin pointed out, we don't talk about salary or pay. Talking about money is up there with politics and religion, and we've failed at most of those in this House. But there is good reason for that, and for the camaraderie of the workplace and the functioning of a workplace or an office or a farm or orchard or wherever you might be. If there's a sense that someone's maybe getting something more than if that sort of pervades around, it can be quite destabilising. And I think that everyone has the ability to negotiate if they don't think they're getting a fair deal. And if my wife's workplace is anything to go by, she seems to have a pretty good idea of what she's being paid compared to other people. I hope she doesn't get arrested over this. Now, I know that could be against the law. That wouldn't end well for me, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I think it's possibly a solution to something that's not really a problem. I think people do have a sense of what they're worth for their experience that they bring to a role, the merit, how they line up with others in the workplace. And if you are good at your job, even in these times of tightened financial times, that there is still a skilled shortage. So if you are good at your job, and we hear it all the time from employers that they're really screaming out for good employees. So I guess that is the basis of our position, that we just did not think that this is a solution to the problem that's setting out to address. We do believe in merit-based performance pay as opposed to just straight equity of outcome. We do worry that if an employer would like to perhaps remunerate or one worker that's doing better than others or a group of workers that are doing better than others, that might have a chilling effect on this, that they may feel that disrupting the workplace would not it's not worth disrupting the workplace and the collegiality that may exist in there. So there is a number of just that feel that this is not a solution to the problem that it's trying to fix, that it could cause unintended consequences, and as such, we will not be voting for this bill during this reading. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
They mentioned the threshold. It doesn't reach New Zealand First threshold. Is the threshold being on Reality Check Radio? Because every time they do something that's on there, New Zealand First seems to jump on board with it.
What about the platform?
Winston's favourite podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting because when it comes to workers' rights and when it comes to labour issues like that, New Zealand First seems to be a bit floppity. You can they either will support or they either won't. But I think you're seeing two branches of conservatism coming from the ACT and New Zealand First Party. ACT is a fiscally conservative party. They believe in small government, and they believe in ensuring businesses have a lot more rights, for the lack of a better word. And I think New Zealand First is a culturally conservative party. Winston's been described over the years as a very old school conservative. He believes in the 1950s style of New Zealand society, and Ron Markey attest to this. And I think this just shows that they don't support this bill, not necessarily because it's bad for workers' rights. I think they just don't support it because it's not something that they want to be discussed. Religion, politics, and money. Those are the three things that in a conservative household or in a conservative part of the country might not be talked about. And I think that's where New Zealand First really advocates for, and there's a lot of the voting bloc comes and votes for them for. I don't think they really care about the economic aspects for this. I think they just care because doesn't necessarily. They're not a liberal party, they're not a party.
They don't want change. They want things to remain the same, that the way they think the world is.
Yeah.
And this vote very much confirms that kind of process.
Yeah.
Now, here's something to laugh about. You know how New Zealand First lights the trains? Will steam engines soon be back on the railway lines to move freight around instead of diesel electric locomotives?
Steam engines look cool.
Yeah. Which one is more highly pollutant? Because I'm sure that's the one they'll go for.
H199, known as a foul locomotive that is sitting in a museum in Featherston. And actually, they should try to get that locomotive back up and running, because apparently at the end of the year, the railway tracks will be for the first time lifted in the Remuneration train tunnel. Now, the first train to drive through the Remuneration train tunnel was H199, which is one of the 5 fell locomotives that had a section in the middle to grip to climb up the 1 in 30 incline. No, not 1 in 30, 1 in 15. Just to let you know, Transmission Gully motorway is steeper at 1 in 12.
I was just going to say, I thought they'd go back for steam engines so they had an excuse to dig up more coal and open more mines.
Are they
they get a foul locomotive out of there. And yes, it was quite funny that the first train to go through the Remuneration train tunnel was a foul loco. And it's an inaugural trip.
Steam engine should start taking Shane Jones out for dinner.
And he can sort of go, okay, now let's get to our